Okay, the recording has started.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Okay, let's go ahead then. In addition to Roseanne Ashby, myself, we have Kent Keyser, we have Jim Mountain, we have Cynthia um, Johnson Oliver, and let's see who we have from the county beside yourself, Rocco.
Sure. So, hello, my name is Rocco Visconti. I'm one of the associate planners for Arlington Transit and the Department of Environmental Services. I see we have, I could just go down the list, Clinton Edwards.
Hi, Clinton.
Good afternoon, everyone, on this beautiful Tuesday evening. Clinton Edwards, Transit Services Manager.
Great. And then we have Paul Meunier.
This is Sheila from Arlington Star.
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Meunier. I'm the service planner for the ART fixed route service.
Great. And then we have Pierre Holloman.
Good afternoon, Pierre Alleman, and I am the acting chief of transit.
Great. And then from the call center, we have Sheila Hill.
Yes, we have Sheila Hill and Mary Blyther.
Welcome to both of you, Sheila and Mary.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you.
And then from We Drive You, we have Ashley Fernandez.
Good afternoon.
Welcome, Ashley.
I'm the general manager, Ashley, and I have my operations manager here as well, Luis Flores.
Very good.
Great. That is everyone from the county and contractors.
Okay, well then let's identify from the phone, please, if people wish to identify themselves. I am still curious if Rebecca and Daniel are on the phone.
This is
Sure.
Paul D'Addario. I'm on the phone from Arlington. Star customer.
This is Joe DePhillips from Arlington. I'm on the phone.
Great. Then we also have a phone number that ends in 8034. You're welcome to introduce yourself.
I'm a customer for my customer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and then we have a phone number ending in 6381. You're also welcome to introduce yourself.
Okay.
Okay. And then we have Gretchen Men joining online.
Hi, I'm a Star customer.
Hey, welcome, Gretchen.
This is my first meeting.
Very good. We're glad you're here.
Great, and that is everyone.
Okay, super. Well, we have 4 of the 7 committee members, so we do have a quorum, which means we can conduct business. But I first would like to open it up for public comment, as is our typical practice. Please keep your comments concise, no more than 3 minutes. But we welcome any public comment. So let me open it up for public comment at this time. Would like to make a comment.
I see Gretchen Men has her hand raised.
Gretchen, go ahead.
I'm not sure this is the proper place, but I'm concerned about the contract with Red Top and what happened to it.
Okay. Have you taken Star over the past few months since the contract changed? And do you
yes.
And do you have any comments about the services you received?
Well, the wait is longer. I'm prepared for that. One day I had the concern when I emailed my concern. A Star staff member called me back and explained that it was being taken care of.
You say you were not called back,
I
and
was
you
called back.
you were called back. Okay,
Yes,
okay,
yes, yes.
okay. Okay, well, that's good. We want folks to receive their callbacks for sure. Do you have any other comments on the service you wanted to share, Gretchen?
Well, just the future of it. I assume Star has federal funds,
Hmm?
and I'm concerned about that.
Okay, okay, and that's a valid concern. Federal funding in general, but particularly now federal funding. So
Yes,
thank you for
yes.
those comments, Gretchen. Okay, anybody else from the public would like to share comments? Pardon me.
James Mountain has his hand raised.
Roseanne, I'm not public because I'm on the board now, but I have a very concerning something I want to share, but I don't know when the right time is. I had a really terrible experience with Star over the weekend, and I want to talk about that, but just let me know when you'd want me to do that.
Yes, I know there's going to be some updates from Star, and I also have a concern I'd like to discuss. Perhaps during the time that we're getting our updates, I'd like feel the committee members to feel free to share concerns at that time. Shall we do it that way? And I just want to make sure we hear from any other members of the public. I
Of
don't want to
course.
cut off discussion. So, any other members of the public that would like to share input? So I'm not hearing any. So why don't we do this? We do have 2 sets of minutes to approve, and we can do those. I'd like to, and that wasn't on the agenda specifically, but we generally do that early on after public comment. So the December meeting was an informal kind of public, well, it was a working session of the subcommittee, but the public was invited. We did receive a number of comments. I want to share that I think our note taker, Mr. Visconti, did a very fine job in summarizing the concerns. Have members of the subcommittee been able to review the December meeting notes?
Madam Chairman, it's Kent.
Kent, yes.
I had a question, and I guess this is directed at Rocco. Rocco, are we going to put up recordings for all our meetings on the web? Because I noticed that I think November and December was not up yet.
Yes, we will have them posted.
Okay.
Oh, no, November was not posted either?
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Okay, okay. And by the way, welcome, Daniel. I'm glad you could come. We have 4 members of the committee. Welcome. Does anyone?
Can I
Go
just
ahead.
add a note? I think that having the recordings there are fine, and that's the first way. That's the first and best way to know what happened in the meeting if you have the time to listen to it. So I think it's important that they always be posted. I did note that the TAC posts a link inside the meeting notes, and I prefer the way that you're doing it, Rocco, as a separate entity that everyone can see, because they may not think to look in the notes to find a link, or if they're, they may not even know about the link, because I think it's a PDF in there, but I'm not sure. Maybe it's not if it has a link. But anyway, I like the separate entry of the recording so that you can access it from the meeting list of documents.
Okay, that's I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, I will ensure with the
And for
communications
access,
team that those are posted, and I will let you know via
okay,
email when they
and for
are.
for accessibility purposes, it might be prudent to do that for all the advisory committees. I don't know, certainly for the TAC, but just a note on accessibility.
Okay. All right. Do I hear a motion to accept the December 2024 meeting notes from our working session?
I
This is
move,
Daniel.
I
I'll
will
move to accept.
I heard Daniel move to accept. Do I hear a
No, I
second?
I second.
Oh,
This is Jim.
Jim, thank you for seconding. And any discussion then? Okay. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. All
Aye.
right. Good. All right, let's look at the January meeting notes from our regular public meeting. Again, do I hear a motion to accept them?
I move to accept.
Okay, Daniel. It was Daniel, right? And any
I'll
second? Okay, Jim, thank you. Any discussion, any edits that are needed here in January? I have to say again, I think these were very nicely done, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I don't hear anything. So all those in favor, say aye.
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 Can I just
All right.
say regarding Kent's comment regarding the link of the TAC video, if you feel that's important for accessibility, since you're on the TAC committee, Roseanne, it may be helpful to mention it at the main TAC meeting tonight.
Okay. Okay, very good.
Yes.
Okay. All right, excellent. So we're finished with the minutes. So I again I do know we're going to be getting updates from Star from about the Star services, but I think maybe this is an appropriate time for any of the committee members who would like to share an experience they've had on Star, good, bad, or otherwise, to speak up. So Jim, you had raised your hand earlier, so would you like to share your experience? Jim, sorry, I'm not hearing you, so I don't know if you're on mute.
Sorry, my nice wife gave me a snack and I was just finishing it.
Okay.
Yeah, sure, I'll go. So I had a terrible experience this weekend, to the point where I think we should shut down Star until we fix it because it's not reliable, it's not safe. But let me tell you what happened this weekend. So I had a pickup in DC on Saturday evening at 7:30. 7:30 rolled around, then 7:40. I called Star at 7:40. Of course, they're closed on Saturday at 7:40. So I tried to call Diamond. I tried to call We Drive You. I called, probably 20 different numbers trying to get someone to answer to find out where they are. And by the way, when I called Star, they simply say they're closed. There's nothing there that says, after hours, call this number to find out what's happening to your ride. Nothing like that. So I'm stuck there in DC. By 8:15, no one has called me. No one's picking up any phone calls from me to them. At that point, at 8:15, I decided that I would walk or roll in a wheelchair 10 blocks to a metro station. And by the way, I had no idea how I'd get home once I got close to home because I had no way to get from the metro station to home. But I figured it'd be better than sitting there. And by the way, it's in the 30s, 30 degrees. So I went into the metro station, started waiting for the train on the platform. And at 8:30, an hour late, at that point, Diamond calls me and says, hey, there's someone there waiting for me to pick me up. I said, well, I'm now 10 blocks away from there. Will you come pick me up where I am? And they said, no, we can't do that. And I said, well, that's ridiculous. You're an hour late. I had to do something. I'm not where I was. It's freezing cold out. I wasn't dressed to be out in the cold because I expected to be picked up right from where I was. They said they wouldn't do that. And then she said, well, she would try to get a hold of her manager to see if they could pick me up there. And she called me, well, I guess I was on hold. And she came back and said she couldn't find her manager. So she had no way to change it. So I then went back the 10 blocks in very cold weather and found the guy. And the guy that picked me up, he, by the way, had another person in there. But he was young. He had been there for a month, he said. He drove like he was playing a video game, extremely fast, tailgating people, speeding, erratic, quick stops and starts. I'm in a wheelchair holding on for dear life. The whole way home, he complained about how bad the company is, how little they pay, and that many people had called in that said they were working and called in and said they were not working. So that's why they were an hour late. He told me what he's paid per hour. I can see why you don't get the highest quality. I think we're getting what we pay for, I guess. We've got to pay more. It seems like what we did is we went for the lowest bid and we're getting what we're paying them for, which is not good enough. It's dangerous. All the vehicles are very old. I just can't say enough about how poor my experience has been with Star.
Jim, I am very sorry. That is a pretty appalling story. And, for them to be an hour late and then for them to not even, be present to answer your phone call and not to accommodate you in frigid weather. He could have easily driven 10 blocks to where you were and picked you up there. This is really appalling.
This is Daniel. May I chime in?
Yes, go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah. James's experience is very representative of what's happening. I probably do 2 or 3 rides per day, and I would say half of the rides I have a good experience. Maybe it's an experienced driver, or sometimes a new driver that just happens to be very good. And half the time, maybe it's a little less, maybe it's a little more. There are somewhat disastrous circumstances, just like James was expressing. I'm also a wheelchair user, so I'm always extremely cautious about being stuck outside. I will basically stay inside until I know the ride will be there. But when Diamond kind of did their switch over to We Drive You, and they switched their numbers, the weekend that happened, I couldn't get a hold of them, and I had a very similar experience. And it's true, sometimes we're waiting. Even just this last week, I had 2 experiences where I waited for almost an hour, and there have been other experiences where I waited close to 2 hours. And what James is describing is so very representative of a good percentage of my rides. Sometimes the drivers really just aren't safe. And I do think We Drive You should pay their drivers a fair wage. I don't know what they're paying them. But I think more, and that's obviously important. That's for them to kind of figure out. But it seems to me that We Drive You isn't supervising their drivers. When you have, a good percentage are good drivers, and then a good percentage are bad drivers, but nothing ever happens to the bad drivers, even after multiple complaints, that seems like they're just not paying attention. Like if they were just listening to passenger complaints or periodically doing rides with their drivers, they would very quickly see, oh, this person is constantly late, or this person is not a safe driver, or they're rude, or whatever the case may be. And they'll also correspondingly see, oh, these drivers are really great drivers. Maybe they deserve a raise or whatever. But it seems to be that We Drive You is not monitoring their drivers to be able to identify the problems and take corrective action.
I think
I
those
just
are.
want to say, one of
Go
the
ahead.
things that we could, sorry, Roseanne, but
No,
one
no,
of the things
please.
that we could immediately do is require Diamond or You Drive You, whoever it is, to call the customer and let them know when the ride is going to be there. And that's the hardest thing when they're late, is because you can't, first of all, you can't call and ask them, but not knowing if they're on the way or if somehow your reservation was lost, you can't call them and they don't call you. And that's a big difference between what we have now and when we had Red Top. Red Top would tell you exactly where they are. You could see the GPS and know, that they're on their way. And that makes a big difference. When they're an hour or 2 hours late, at least you know when they're coming. It's still
That's
horrible service, but yeah.
Yes. And we've talked about this before. We've talked about the poor communication. And we're saying, I've heard Ashley say it's going to get better, but it is not better. And I'll take a minute and share my experience, which is not as appalling as yours, Jim or Daniel, but I had a ride on the weekend. I was supposed to meet some people in North Arlington. It was 2 in the afternoon. I expected my ride to be there at 2 in the afternoon. It did not show up. Finally, about 3 o'clock, I got a call from We Drive You, and the lady said, do you still want your ride? I said, no, I've missed my appointment with the people I was supposed to meet. So I canceled at that point. An hour late, nobody called me. I did not have the We Drive You number. It is not posted on the star message service, which I think would be a very simple thing to
Absolutely.
do.
That's another easy fix. Yeah.
Very, very easy fix. But I did not have that number handy. Again, an hour late, and why didn't they reassign me? The driver knew she was going to be late. And there I was waiting for my ride. It was not reassigned. Now, in my case, I'm able to take a U-Serve, sedan or whatever. I could have been reassigned, but I wasn't. So that's my story. I don't know if any other committee members, I don't know if Rebecca has joined us, or Kent, if you have any other comments you want to make at this point before we hear these updates that the county's going to give. But these are extremely serious, allegations here, because we're talking health and safety issues. This is really, truly unacceptable service. But anyway, Kent, or if Rebecca's on, if you all want to share anything, please do. Or Cynthia,
Sure.
excuse me.
Well, after I complained, this is Kent, after I complained about the safety of the large, I'm not sure what you call it, bus, I guess, which is like a 16 or 18 seater. When they're empty, it's there's no counterbalance to weigh the bus down. So a heavy wheelchair at the back is just I don't know what the dynamic, what the what do you call the physics of the deal are, but literally a block from my house on a sharp curve, I got tossed from one side of my wheelchair to the other, and with the seatbelt on. That's with the seatbelt on. I'm moving in my chair, so it definitely was a safety hazard. Thanks to Mary at Star, they were able to get for my next trip a smaller van that accommodated me, and I was able to face forward, which I haven't been in a lot of the Diamond vans, but the two that gave me this trip the other day, I was able to go forward. So that's something that needs to be employed with wheelchair users instead of those large buses, because riding in a wheelchair alone on one of those without, the weight to hold the bus down so that it doesn't create that motion in the back is a necessity. But clearly, this bad service continues to happen to people, and we're not getting, any better results. And I agree with, I think it was Daniel who said, this is just, a representation of, and a good representation of what's happening to everyone. And you certainly add to that, Roseanne, with your experience. So, I mean, what is the county doing? As Roseanne points out, what is the county doing to correct this bad scheduling, and certainly this lack of information that we have? We've definitely gone backwards. We've not gone forward, and that's unacceptable.
It really is. So I think at this moment, unless another committee member would like to share something, I would like to ask the county staff to respond to some of these concerns. And if we need to involve the provider, they're certainly on the line. I just don't understand why these problems are not being fixed.
Before they address that, can I give one piece of really good information?
Please, and I thought I also heard Cynthia. But yes, Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, people might know this. We Drive You recently changed their phone number. They never announced it. I put the number in the chat. If you can't see it, I'll tell you the number. It's 301-888-4154. So that's the number you can call after hours to talk with We Drive You dispatch.
Okay, thank you for that. And Cynthia, did I hear you starting to speak?
Yes, I was going to make a similar point that that I had scheduled Star. Star was running late, and it was after hours, so I called the Diamond number, and it just said this number is no longer in service. And so there, definitely a moment of panic because I had no idea, what to do at that point. In that case, they were only, they weren't very late. They, showed up within a few minutes of that. But, it occurred to me that it would have been a very simple fix to just,
Absolutely.
have a message that communicates the new number. And other than that, I just wanted to add that I have used Star infrequently since the last meeting. Most of my rides have been on time or only, a little late. But so yeah, I just want to add that perspective into the conversation. But yes, I do agree about the number that a simple, just a simple attention to that kind of detail. That if there's a number change, we need to know it.
Yes. And what I would say, honestly, even if it's 10% of the rides that are late, even if it is 10%, being over an hour late, that is unacceptable. There should be no rides that are that late ever. So anyway, again, then let me turn it over to the county.
Before you do, can I say something?
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
My name is Karen. I'm also a rider.
Oh, okay, Karen. Yes, you missed the public comment, but you're welcome. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to say that I agree that some of the drivers are really good and they're very friendly and helpful, but there's some lately that are just really awful, and I agree about their driving being pretty bad. So I don't know how you do something about that, but I just want to put that in. And also that if you ride at certain times when it's the off times, then it's been really good and they have been on time.
Right.
So that's all.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, county, it's your nickel.
Well, good evening again, everyone. First off, let me, for those that shared your experience, please accept the apologies on behalf of the county for your poor experience. We, as I've stated before, we want everyone to have an outstanding experience on our public transportation system known as STAR, and so we will continue to work to make those improvements. Two themes that I heard from the members that just recently spoke, I'll touch on those. Communications and then the way the operators are operating the vehicle. So we have some work to do on that as far as communication, as far as, and I think I can summarize it is that if a trip is going to be late, it is the desire of this committee that the client be communicated with to let them know. In Mr. Mountain's case, just let me know that you're going to be an hour late so that I can at least go somewhere and get out of the element. And then same with Miss Ashby, just communicate something. So um, I've got that jotted down. We'll have a conversation with We Drive You and the call center tomorrow on figuring out how we can be in contact with the passengers to let them know when the experience is running, when their transportation is running late.
So Clinton, if I don't want to interrupt, but I do need to say, my understanding from We Drive You is that calls are generally made to passengers to inform them of where the ride is. So I don't know if that's not happening. Is it happening at all? Is it not happening? I mean, this was our understanding.
Yes.
From the get-go.
Yeah, we will get that firmed up, and we will message myself or Rocco will reach out to the committee, to the subcommittee to firm up what the policy is as far as communicating with the passengers in this interim until we get the mobile app update, which I'll get to in a few moments. Also, one thing I heard is that we need to review we need to have some level of refresher training for the operators. Seemingly, there's some unsafe operations happening, and so we'll chat with our team at We Drive You as far as their next operator safety meetings and going over some level of refresher training so that everyone has a comfortable driving experience.
Yeah, well, we certainly don't want people to be unsafe. And I don't know, my hunch is that these may be some of the newer drivers. I think the veteran drivers, for the most part, are pretty good and safe. But I don't know whether new people are not being trained sufficiently or whatever, but this is something, should be of grave concern really to the county.
Absolutely. And safety is, in all that we do here at Arlington Transit, safety is paramount. And that's what we pride ourselves on, is having a safe operation, both on the STAR side and on the ART side. So we'll discuss that with them, and we'll get communication out to the subcommittee before the weekends as far as the number and then the communication. Touching on a couple other things.
Clinton, can I just one more easy fix, if you could, is
yes, sir.
Make sure, and this is something we could, I think, do today, is on the STAR voicemail when they're closed, what number do people call to get information? If that can be continually updated, please.
I agree with that 100%.
I would say that we are internally, the county switched to a phone system, and it has been very convoluted and complicated just to change that announcement that you hear when you call in. I'll give you an example: water, sewer, and streets. During the summer, earlier this year, when we were having all the weather events, they wanted to change their number so people could know what number to call in when they're having issues with the weather. And there was a lot of technology issues there. So that's something that we will touch back on as far as updating that recording.
Okay, well, please do. I think that's a simple fix. It should be a simple fix. Let me put it that way.
Ms.
It should be.
Chair Espy, it absolutely should, but it's been very, because we wanted
I,
to originally, when we were having the operational issues, we wanted to put a recording out there so that
mm-hmm,
when users first called in, they would know that we apologize for the delay. We are having some operational challenges.
right,
However,
right.
because of the change in the phone system, it's been much more difficult than
Okay.
just doing it on your picking up your cell phone and changing your voicemail greeting. So
Okay. All
we
right.
will
Well,
bring that back up.
okay. And then Kent, I believe, did you have a comment? I thought I heard you.
Yes, Madam Chairman. I just wanted to clarify that I think all the comments about the telephone calls were not calls with the Star Center. It was calls with Diamond and UServe and those
Yes.
operators.
Yes. It was not with the Star Center itself. Yeah,
Okay,
that
so
is true.
basically, to summarize, getting in contact with We Drive You on the times when the call center is closed for
It's
Mr. Mountain's trip.
after
Okay,
hours and weekend hours, Sunday hours. Yes. Mm-hmm.
But the
okay.
strange thing in that is you're not allowed to directly call Diamond or You Drive You when the call center is open. But the minute it's closed, you have no other choice. And that's why it's so important that that you should be able to call Star. Really, ideally, if Star is closed, you would hit a button on the Star line that
And
would
it would
take you to
redirect you.
Diamond. Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a great
Oh,
suggestion, and we'll try to
yeah.
figure out how we can go about doing that because that would be the simplest way that you
Right.
always
Yeah.
call
That's
Star, but
right.
when the call center is closed, it redirects you directly to the We Drive You
That
Yep.
that's a
24-hour dispatch.
that's a perfectly good solution if you can do that. But
Okay,
whatever can be done quickly is what I would say.
okay.
Well, now so we talked about communications, we talked about safety, and you said you're going to be getting back to us on what steps you're going to take to address these concerns. You'll get back to us within the week. Is that what I
Yes, I
understood?
need to touch base with We Drive You as far as I don't know when the next set of operator safety meetings are and what is on their curriculum for this first quarter of FY 2025. But one thing we can ask is just for them to go over safe driving operations and
Right.
just to obey the speed limit. So I'll check with them to see when their
Now,
March safety meetings are so that they
okay.
can get to all the operators and just remind them of that.
Right, but can I also say that if there are complaints about a specific operator, that those need to be investigated by We Drive You and addressed, whether it's additional training, whether it's letting somebody go. I mean, whatever needs to be done to address that driver's issues.
Absolutely. And
Okay,
any complaint, and I'll continue to any comments that anyone on this call has, just continue to encourage them to log those with the call center. That's the surefire way that the county, that the call center and We Drive You all will see those comments. When a comment is entered into the call center, Mary Blyther at the call center first logs it. She enters that information, whether it comes in through electronically via email or if it comes in by the call, she logs it. It goes over to We Drive You. They have a period of time that they need to resolve it. And if it's not resolved between them, the two entities, then it is elevated over to Rocco for the
right,
county's involvement so that we can do further
right.
investigation. So there's
Well,
once it goes into the system through the Star Call Center, then it's open for everyone at We Drive You, the
right,
county, and the
right.
call center to
I
review and
understand.
make
I
adjustments.
I understand. Let me ask this. Are these complaints ones you have heard over the past month or two? Have you heard these kind of complaints about safety?
I
Have
would
and
turn to Rocco on that one as far as if he's heard these type of complaints or reviewed these type over the past month.
Well, we've certainly received complaints regarding specific operators
okay.
in the recent past, and uh, if the investigation results in some update either training or, letting someone go. Can confirm that that has happened in the last 2 months. We have let people, operators have been let go over safety concerns
Okay.
in the last
Okay.
2 months. So yes, we do receive those complaints, and we have been following up with We Drive You on making corrective
Okay.
action.
Okay. Well, that's good. What other updates can you provide for us in terms of services?
Absolutely. I'll touch on a couple things that I heard earlier. One, for federal funds, Arlington Transit is not a direct recipient of Section 5307 operational formula funds. All of Arlington Transits and Arlington counties, as the larger organization, are sent directly to WMATA as part of the compact agreement. All of the transit agencies in Northern Virginia, their operating federal funds are sent directly to WMATA. So the STAR service is funded by state funds and county funds only. There may be other contributions from other organizations. However, there are no federal funds in Arlington Transit. Secondly, as far as an update on the STAR services, what we have here on the agenda, USERV update. Great news on the USERV front. We have, as of this past Friday, we have 44 operators or drivers that have passed the county background check. And so USERV has been mobilized for about 3 weeks now. We are continuing to tweak that operation, and as USERV is getting more and more comfortable with our operation, you'll see more of those sedan Uber drivers in the system.
Yeah, let me
They're
ask
asking, yes, ma'am.
May I ask a question about that? So my understanding is that they are scheduled as overflow, as the schedule permits. If the vans become full, then the USERV cars are, scheduled or dispatched. What about a situation like mine when they are very, very late? Why could not a user vehicle been dispatched in a timely way to allow me to get to my destination?
Absolutely. If a user vehicle is available. So what would happen in your instance on a Saturday at 3 o'clock is that we would reach out, of course, to see if we had any available vehicles with We Drive You. But if those user drivers are doing non-star trips, there could be none available. Although we have 44 that are background checked, all 44 don't work all 7 days of the week. So there could have
But
been a limited availability. I'd have to
I
look
don't,
into.
yeah, I don't even know that it was an option. I don't even know that they checked if user was available. That's what I guess what I'm asking. I would think that would be one of those situations where user would be contacted or to see if there's a driver available. I mean, it was a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, we at that point we would look for any available vehicle to get you to your destination on a timely
Right.
fashion. So whether it
Okay.
be a We Drive You vehicle or a user vehicle.
Okay. Right. Okay. All right. I'm sorry I interrupted your
Okay, no
update.
problem
So
at all. And then so that's user. So that with that coming online and more drivers being available, we will definitely see an increase in our on-time performance. Finally, and that was one thing that we really I talked about focusing on from our last accessibility meeting to now is just being laser focused on figuring out how we could firm up the operation. And with the onboarding of USERV, we absolutely should be able to get the operation. So we're working out the tweaks as far as getting the scheduled trips to USERV versus overflow versus how we will interact between the We Drive You dedicated vehicles and the USERV vehicles. Secondly, great news on the mobile app front. We've had very good conversations with our two contractors, as you know, that USERV and our Star Call Center are two different, I'm sorry, We Drive You and our Star Call Center are two different contractors. They both have a mobile app that would be able to provide updates to the passenger so that you can pull it up on your mobile device or on your home desktop or your laptop and see where your trip is. We've received demonstration from both of them. What we are currently working on is that for users that interact with Star on the web, we're trying to figure out how it would work together. Basically, how the Star Call Center's app would work with the We Drive You app and vice versa. So we've had a couple conversations, we had a couple of demonstrations, and now we're just at the point now of making our final recommendation and which way we will go. They are, I won't name the app specifically, but We Drive You has one that they highly recommend and also does the call center. So we want to have a single solution so that it's a seamless transition for the passengers and also for the We Drive You and Star Call Center as they have to do the mechanics of producing the information for our Star Performance Metrics overview. Once we have one single solution, it will be seamless all the way across as far as being able for passengers to be able to see their trips whichever way. We're just awaiting one more update and then we'll have a direction. So by the time we get to this next meeting, we will have the determination as far as which direction we will go to. And then we will start the process of rolling out that mobile application to the passengers and keeping folks informed of that. So
Okay.
we're right here on the home front. The one thing I will share is that there isn't much synergy between the two. So right now, the county's recommendation is that we will go with one or the other because of
see.
just all of the back end challenges that we're having. So we're excited that we're going to be able to roll this out.
Okay, well, this
I'm
is
sorry,
exciting.
what is the date? I'm sorry.
The
What-
2
The
months,
date for the rollout?
To
are
be
you
determined.
saying
Yeah,
May? Are you saying May by our May meeting? So it's 2 more months down the road? Is that what I heard?
we will, when we make a determination, we can let the subcommittee know, but by the time we get to the next meeting, we'll have a determination before this month's end. It's just how many
Okay.
weeks do we have to go into the implementation phase, and then getting one, either We Drive You or the Star Call Center ready for the others' application.
Right. Oh, but by the end of March, then this subcommittee will be informed what
Yes,
direction you're going.
we'll
Okay,
be
that
informed. And so
good.
there's contractual things that depending on which direction we have to work through. If we go with one, we have to adjust the other's contract and vice versa. So there's still some administrative things that have to, but we'll be making a determination here before the month ends.
Okay. I just want to bring up a concern that we've heard here several times from members of the public. Some people cannot use the standard We Drive You vans, and they cannot manage the ramp with safety, or they're not able to bend down to get in to the van. What is being done to accommodate these individuals who have a variety of mobility issues and who cannot use the standard We Drive You vans?
UServe would be able to be that option now because they
And,
have different types of vehicles. We can
right,
adjust, and for those that have those reasonable accommodations, we
right,
can honor that through sending those trips to
right.
UServe
And
at this point.
I know that is the solution, but is that happening? I guess that's really what I'm asking, Clinton. Have those accommodations been made?
That is a
Can
great
you,
question. I would have to look to Sheila to provide an answer as far as that, because we haven't had a discussion on that since UServe has come online. But I know that I spoke with, and I don't want to call her name incorrectly, right before the Christmas holiday about her husband and not being able to get into the We Drive You vehicle. So
Right,
um,
right.
when you make a reservation, can you request UServe? I thought you said it was just overflow.
no, sir. You cannot request user. We will get you a vehicle that will meet your needs. And right now, between if user is overflow or not, we are working through how we're assigning those trips out between We Drive You and user. So we're tweaking the model that we're that we've been using to see
Okay.
what's the best fit for our system. Because we want these
Okay.
trips where folks are waiting an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours. We want to eradicate those immediately.
Okay. All right. So, I think that's something that would be important for us to have an update on. If once you talk to Sheila and her staff, and I would really want an update on how that's happening. Because honestly, the reasonable accommodations need to be made immediately to provide access to these folks, and U-Serve is a good option when the driver's running super late. It's a good option for a number of passengers. Not everyone, I recognize that, but a number of passengers.
And it's worth noting that we will be getting a communication out to all of those with a reasonable accommodation on file here in the next month to just to check in on that reasonable accommodation and to make sure that we have all of our paperwork aligned properly.
Okay. All right. Does anyone go ahead, Kent? I was going to ask if you had questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Edwards, how much fines have been levied against these companies that aren't fulfilling their contract?
We are continued, how can I say that the best way? We are in constant communication with We Drive You as far as invoicing is concerned. We haven't come to an agreement on that, but I would say we have not levied any penalties to date, but the communication is still ongoing.
Okay.
Can you be more specific? Because I'm not understanding what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I mean, clearly the contract's not being upheld,
Mm-hmm.
so no action yet. It's been, what, 3 months?
There is how can I say this? We are under review with the contractual language with We Drive You through the invoicing and the parameters of the contract. So we are very aware of that, and we haven't pulled the lever yet. However, we are aware of the operational issues and have informed them accordingly.
If you're not going to pull the lever against the company, what are you doing for the customers that have been aggrieved so far? You said you were going to check on that.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
What are you doing to compensate the people who were harmed? The customers, the star riders.
Our original proposal is that we were going to send a letter to all of the users that have had excessively late trip times and to compensate them accordingly. We have not come to an agreement on how late and how many of those trips would be compensated for, but I will note that as well.
Okay, well, can I register my vote that if it's one trip, that's enough?
I'd have to go back to, because of course there is a budget concern with this as well, given that we are at the 7 o'clock meeting, we're going to talk about the FY26 budget and the reductions that transit has to take. So there are budget implications of that as well.
Not to do 101 budgeting here, but if you find them, that's certainly a source of income.
That's certainly one way to look at it. Yes, indeed. Okay.
This is Daniel. Can I ask a couple questions?
Yes, go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah. I guess this is really towards Mr. Edwards, but others might chime in as well. But in a prior meeting, you showed us a display that basically showed the number of star rides complete, for each month that were scheduled. And I guess my first question would be, I would assume there are statistics on the number of those scheduled rides that were successfully completed, their pickup times and drop-off times. Like that's recorded somewhere, right?
Yes, that is recorded. Yes, as far as the pickup and the drop off time. Yes.
And we were going to get a discussion of that. I know our time is running out, but I believe that's on the agenda. The star
It
metrics.
is. Would you like to
Yeah, I
segue
mean,
to that?
oh, we are going to talk about that? Because
Yes,
I mean,
we
the
Yes,
one thing
are.
I
that's
would
the next thing
request,
on the agenda, the star performance metrics for December 2024 and January 2025.
yeah, I mean, my general request in this matter would be that should be made available to the public on a website on a continuing basis. It's not sensitive information. It's not private information. You know, this is the county. They need to report publicly on how they're
James,
performing.
here's a reminder.
And if they have
Hi, honey.
a
Will you
high
please put
on-time rate, I want them to report that so we can praise them. If they're not doing as good, they need
Yeah.
to report that so that
Yeah.
citizens of the county can hold them accountable.
You know, Daniel, that's an excellent suggestion.
Yes, and I will
I
say that on the
actually,
Arlington Transit website, under About Art, and then I'll turn it over to Rocco to go over those monthly service reports. The monthly service reports are posted there, and there's also a star metrics report that is reflected service through January 2025. So if you just
Excellent.
visit the Arlington Transit website, go to
Do you think you
About
could put a link to that
Arts.
in the chat for us?
Yes, sir. I'll put the link in, and then I will turn it over to Rocco
Thanks.
to
Okay.
give the performance metrics update.
Okay. Rocco, you're on.
All right. Let me share that metric table. Yes, this is posted monthly on the Arlington Transit website alongside our fixed route ART bus service performance metrics. This is through January 2025, and this is the most recently updated metrics that we have for both ART and STAR posted on our website. Um, so uh, you can see that through December and January, there were 3,875 trips scheduled in December and 4,358 scheduled for January. I will also note that in January, we had a number of snow events that led to a high number of cancellations for the month. But still, the completed number of trips for December was 3,114 and 2,907 for January. Um, and yes, the on-time rate has definitely fallen in December and January to 83 and 84%. And let's see, the number of trips canceled, like I said, in January, jumped high. We believe partially influenced by the number of snow events that happened in the month that led to a lot of cancellation in service. Um, and yes, is there any other metric specifically you would like to review or?
Anyone on the subcommittee have specific questions? I'm not surprised that the on-time performance has fallen. But any other specific questions? Again, I am very aware that we're running out of time, so.
Yeah, Rocco, thank you so much. These are exactly the types of numbers that, you know, I think are really necessary. And I think Mr. Edwards indicated that these numbers are available on the county's website. Is that correct?
Yes, they're available on
to the public?
Arlington. Yes, they're available monthly on arlingtontransit.com,
Okay.
which is our
Yes, sir.
public
And
transportation website.
and I
You
dropped
know,
the link to the website and the monthly reporting in the chat.
you know,
Thank you.
I would really appreciate it also, Rocco. Can you just populate that link into the minutes on a regular basis? So
Sure.
it just would make it easier so we don't have to look for it. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
all right, I appreciate that.
Yes.
You know,
of
I
course.
think, could I ask for one more question?
Sure, Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing I think would be very good. I mean, there have been a lot of examples here today about the importance of communication. It might be useful if there were just a monthly email to the STAR users, not just about, we get those emails about coming minutes or coming meetings and things like that, but it might be nice to just have a monthly email from STAR that says, hey, thank you for using STAR. These are the number of trips we did. Here's some statistics. In the news, our service provider, We Drive You's number has been changed. This is their new number. We're expecting an app to be coming in the next, 2 months or whatever it is. We expect it to be available on this date. Just some kind of email that went to the general public that just gave them a lot of the information answering the questions that a lot of us have been asking today.
Yeah, Daniel, you are a man after my own heart. I couldn't agree more. I think communication is key. A lot of STAR users have been in the dark throughout this period. I mean, I know there's been some efforts to communicate some things, but just a little newsletter, just a little something with some what to expect, what's being explored, what's being worked on, something that really would demonstrate to the users that, what, we care, we really are here, we're trying to work with you. I agree.
Doesn't Art have a newsletter?
I'm sorry, Kent?
Doesn't Art have a newsletter?
Art does not have a newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
What is that? I see things from Art all the time.
And I'm not saying it has to be a long thing, but just something with some noteworthy information. People don't know where to turn for that stuff. So anyway.
I can certainly say that the communication in that manner does not sound like a terrible idea to me. I will certainly at least begin the discussion of if we could start doing that.
Okay.
Regular communication regarding utilizing the email system that we have to alert for these meetings that we already use.
Absolutely. Okay. I know there was something else on the agenda. Is that correct? I don't have the agenda right in front of me.
Sam, there are a couple of hands up.
Oh, okay.
That was the last item on the agenda, but
Okay.
there's James Mountain and then Cynthia Johnson Oliver.
Okay. I'm sorry. Jim. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I hear Sheila?
Yes, Sheila.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was just sitting here thinking, and I'm listening, and I was thinking that maybe we should send an email to all our clients since we're going to list certain information on the website, but send an email about the website and how to use it. Because a lot of people do not know about the website or how to use it.
That is absolutely true.
I mean, certainly that I also think is a good idea. Informing people that where the metrics can be found for STAR and how to use the website to access the different features of arlingtontransit.com for STAR purposes. I think is also a good idea.
Good. All right. Cynthia, you had your hand up, I believe.
Yes, I would just briefly add that if a communication is being sent to all riders, then it might also include the phone number for We Drive You, the new phone number for that, how they can be reached after hours. But
that's right.
The point that I was going to raise, I believe, has already been mentioned, but I just want to echo my concern that the contract allows for incentives for the contractor for on-time performance and disincentives for late performance. And it sounds like those disincentives are not being employed. And so I would be concerned about that and wonder why. And, just express that, because of the seriousness of the concerns being raised, that those penalties should be, that this is the very reason they're in place.
Yes.
So that.
And I agree with what you're saying. You and Kent have both brought this forward, and I agree 100%. We are now 3.5 months into this new contract, and clearly, it's not too soon to be employing penalties, disincentives. I mean, the time for gearing up, it should be well past. We should be operating this contract much more effectively by now, 3.5 months after it started. So I agree with what you're saying, Cynthia.
Yes, and a voucher to a rider for as compensation for bad service would be quite reasonable.
Yep. Jim, did you also have an additional comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to get a confirmation from Clinton and Rocco on something I think we agreed to in the beginning, but you didn't state again, Clinton, and that's that we will talk to you, drive you, to make sure that if a ride is going to be later than 10 minutes late, that they will contact the customer. That doesn't sound that hard, and it's fairly simple. If you're going to be more than 10 minutes late, you contact the customer.
What I'm going to do is that I've been taking notes here. I'm going to send a note to the entire committee to make sure that we have captured, we've touched on communications a lot, touched on refresher training a little bit, and then monthly communication. So what I'm going to do is that I'm jotting down some notes. I'm going to email the entire committee to make sure that I have what you all's requests are captured properly, and then we can approach We Drive You in the call center to make these suggestions accordingly. But
that sounds
to answer your
good.
question, Mr. Mountain, yes, I feel like we can, but I just need to figure out, get it just pinpointed what exactly the policy is.
Okay, no, this sounds like a good plan. So, Clinton, as soon as you send us that email, we will aggregate our responses and send them back to you. And we wish you well in your work with the contractor. Okay, I am not going to keep us further unless anyone else has any final questions.
I do.
I just have one. This is Daniel. I just have one final question.
Okay, Daniel, I heard Daniel and I heard someone else. So
Sure.
go ahead,
sure.
Daniel.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I heard some really positive energy from Sheila about the email. Is there any reason why Sheila can't be authorized right away to send out an email to the STAR users with any information that she thinks is important for them, like using the STAR website, outages, tips on requesting service, anything else that the STAR office thinks would be useful for passengers?
I don't see any bar to that. Sheila, go for it.
Actually,
I say go for it.
any communication that is sent out by the call center is authorized by the county. So that's why I wanted to send the communication email to you all to try to make sure we are on the same page as far as the expectation of the committee for communication.
Right. But I think what Daniel's saying is if there are some simple things that Sheila wishes to communicate, there would be no reason why she couldn't do that. She may have to have approval from the county to do it, but it seems like she should be able to draft something up.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. If there's things that the call center wishes to communicate with the STAR clients, then yes.
Yes, that's what I think. That's what I think Daniel was asking for. I heard someone else's voice.
Yes, Karen. I just really quick, could someone repeat the number that we need to call after hours? It was 301-888-4154, but I'm not sure if I got it.
No, you did get it correct. That is the We Drive You number for after hours. Yes.
And by the way, I checked my phone log. That is a number that I called, of the many numbers I called on Saturday trying to get my ride, and there was no answer.
Oh, gosh. All right. Well.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Kent.
It's Kent. I would point out that Arlington County does have a weekly newsletter that they publish. And so we could get things in there if we should get things in there as well. But you can sign up for it at Inside Arlington.
That's right. Okay. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So this was an excellent meeting. Thank you all for your participation and your comments. And Clinton, we'll wait to hear from you in the near future, very near future.